Konnichiwa!
Howdy, y'all.
I'm Leslie.
I'm Laurie. Welcome to
Sumo Kaboom,
Kaboom,
where we talk about all things sumo.
Yes, and today we are talking about days 4 through 9
That's
of
right.
the May Basho 2024.
Yes.
Looking forward to talking about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and kind of the highlight matches of each day that, left us agog.
I would say yes, this tournament is agog, completely agog.
Yeah, it's the tournament of injuries, isn't it?
We'll get into it, but I do think that on day maybe 7 is where I think they might just have been taking audience participation wrestlers at this point because there's no one to wrestle. And all the highlights are hilarious to me because I've never seen so many Jurio bouts in the NHK highlights.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like seeing the Jurio stuff, but why are we seeing not just one Jurio bout? We're seeing like 4.
Yeah. Because I think there's so
no one
many.
wrestling.
Yeah, there's so many people that have gone out with injuries. They're like, we don't have enough to cover a half an hour.
Maybe they need to bring. Maybe they need to bring somebody out of retirement.
But I'm 100% behind seeing Wakataka Kage.
I am too.
Absolutely, and it's been really fun watching Endo do well down there as well. So I'm appreciating them.
Yeah, I've been so psyched to see Endo there doing well. He still is pretty deadpan. You can't tell he's excited about being like number 1 of Jurio right now, but somewhere inside of that very stoic man is somebody who's like, yes, I can win again.
I am a big fish in a small pond. Yes.
Right.
Do you have any news before we jump into day 4?
Well, a tiny bit. Speaking of Tokushoryu, he will be having a hair cutting ceremony on February 1st this year. So be on the lookout for that. That's kind of exciting.
Did you say February 1st?
Yeah, this next year.
Of this year? Oh.
No.
I was like, we passed February 1st.
We passed that, way past that. It's just announced. So you've got a lot of time to get your ticket to get over and see Tokushoryu get his buzz cut or whatever he's going to do.
How fun would that be? To go to his retirement party? I love that man.
I do too. I've seen lots of pictures of him doing security guard duty, and it's always a delight. He just has a big belly that just makes security guard, it makes for good security guard fodder. When you see those pictures.
Where is the mall cop movie starring him? That's what I want to see. Is Tokushoryu Mall Cop 4, where
Absolutely.
he's on the little
the little Segway.
Yeah, on the
I've never
Segway.
seen Paul Blart. That movie. I never saw it. I never saw it.
Out.
Am I?
Out. Yeah,
Well,
you really are. It's fabulous.
Maybe they will make a sequel starring Tokushoryu.
I hope they do.
It'll be the biggest thing since, I don't know, Top Gun. Kotoeko, our little Kotoeko, has decided to finally retire. So if you've been keeping up with him, he was in Makauchi forever and just a smaller guy, just an all-around good guy, and he's been sliding down the ranks. And so I think he was so injured he would have fallen down, way down into, who knows, Makushin or beyond. So he just called it a day.
Well, we have received a couple of email requests to do a retirement episode on him. So I think as soon as this Basho is over, we should do that as our next episode.
Yeah, maybe we should solicit some Kotoeko poetry and songs.
Yes, please.
And that is kind of all the news I've got for right now. Otherwise, I'd kind of be giving stuff away,
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So let's jump into day 4. I know it seems like a long time ago, but way back on day 4, Takara Fuji was still surprising us all with his fantastic, solid slapdown wins. I was just kind of appreciating the rebirth of Takara Fuji still on day 4.
Yes. Dad is back and Dad's in charge.
Yes.
And I'm loving every minute of Takara Fuji.
4 highlight bouts for me. On day 4, I have to say one of them is Wakamoto Haru versus Onosato.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a new Komusubi.
Right.
against Sekiwake Wakamotoharu, who is, he's a pretty difficult guy to go up against. So I was really interested to see how this was going to work out. And there was, my goodness, a mighty, huge hit at the beginning of this thing from Onosato, which Wakamotoharu absorbed beautifully. It was gorgeous.
He's so strong, and I was surprised at how well he absorbed that tachiai from Onosato.
Yes.
I was like, okay, he must be
proud.
Pretty strong.
I was proud. Like, well done, Wakamotoharu. So he absorbed it. He got his hands on the inside of Onosato's belt and armpits, and he looked to have much, much better positioning. And I thought Wakamotoharu had him. Mm-hmm. But right at the edge, Onosato sort of swiveled and did that Tsukiotoshi at the edge, where he grabbed Wakamoto's armpit and sort of twisted away right at the edge. It's a classic Wakamotoharu move as well, because Wakamotoharu can be kind of shifty at the edge, and so that's what Onosato did, and he looked great. Mm-hmm. I was really happy to see him sort of pull that last minute maneuver at the edge of the ring, and I thought, okay, well, just call Masubi, just beat a Sekiwake. Well done. So that was a highlight match for me.
Yeah.
The next one, I think there were like the last 4 bouts of the day, were really super fun for me on day 4. Daisho versus Kirishima.
Yeah.
A lot happened in this match.
Yes.
But basically what I walked away with was Kirishima's pushes, right? So he met a classic pusher in Daisho. And it was like he said, you know what? I'm going to meet these pushes with more pushes. But it was interesting because Kirishima's pushes went absolutely nowhere. And Daisho pushed Kirishima out instead. Doubly incredible because Kirishima seemed to kind of give up a little bit. Like the cards are really not working for Kirishima.
Yeah.
Like there has got to be, that injury still has to be there because it really just feels like he's declining.
I know. And it worries me because it's like the same cervical spine deal that Takakeisho.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's the absolute worst. All that practicing but for the tournament, and he's got to turn it around. And then again, it's like an exact repeat of the last Basho, and my nightmares continue.
Well, there was this moment in the match where it really looked like, Daisho has the habit of kind of like leaning too far forward sometimes because he's got so much power behind his pushes, and it really looked like Daisho was going to fall forward and out in this match.
I still thought he went out for sure first.
Well, now he was kind of right at the edge, and he sent his butt back, and he stayed in. But that was the moment in which Kirishima, it was like he had already given up and gone, oof, I got him. And he just relaxed. But then when Daisho didn't go out, that was the moment for me that was like, wow, he was just really sitting back and watching thinking, I'm done. Just something is very wrong because an earlier version of Kirishima would not have given in so quickly. You know what I mean?
No, I just want to send a card that also says, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you and keep going.
Your grandma sends at graduation, I'm so proud of you. Believe in yourself. You can do many great things. Oh, the places you'll go.
The places you'll go.
Yeah. You know what's really funny about that match is not the match itself, is the after bit when they were doing the interview with Daisho, who truly is a man of very few words. Yeah. Because the biggest thing he said was, I just tried hard.
Honestly, another one of my favorite things about sumo are those interviews, because sometimes they're so awkward and sometimes they're hilarious, and I love them.
Beat.
Yep, I love them.
Too much waiting.
Okay, I do have to mention the last 2 of the day, Kotozakura versus Gonoyama, in which Kotozakura, oh man, he threw the prettiest Uwatanage right at the edge, right when it looked like he was in super trouble. He just reversed calmly and sent, a very excited looking Gonoyama out instead. It was just smooth sailing and pretty, and I'm amazed he could do that much at the edge. really amazed.
He looks like a pro.
Yep. Highlight match of the day, however, was Hoshoryu versus Hiradoumi. It was the final fight of the day, and it was truly the most exciting one for me. On day 4, they went back, they went forth. Hiradoumi pushed and pushed and pushed. Hoshoryu would try a trip, he would try a swivel, he would regrip, he would go for another throw, and then the other one would recover, and then they just went back and forth, and it was just very fast and very exciting until Hoshoryu, I believe, finally took the advantage, pushed Hiradoumi forward, tripped a judge, not once, not twice, but crushed him out at the same time with a Yori Taoshi, which is really exciting. And Hoshoryu loved it. The crowd loved it. I don't think the judge loved it.
No.
But that's okay, because you can't be perfect.
Okay. No, you can't.
And it's always fun to see a judge go down and still judge at the same time.
Exactly. That is skills.
Yes, it is.
Well,
Okay.
are you ready for day 5?
Yes, I am ready for day 5.
All right. Well, I have to say, Takara Fuji continues his winning run on day 5. It was an easy day of work for him. Now, he is Maegashira 16, and he is fighting Juryo 1, Dayamami. So while I'm glad that he has the 5-0 record, his journey at his record is a little bit different than the higher ranked guys. But still, I'm happy to see Dad at work crushing it. Okay. Also, newbie Toki Hayate finally got his first win on day 5. And it was tough. It was tough to win, but he took down Churo Naomi with a wedgie do-si-do, if you remember. You would think, like, though, he grabbed onto the back of his mawashi and swung him around, you know, and you would think that that would have finished him off, but it doesn't. It gets Churo Naomi up against the bales, though. And then, finally, the smaller Toki Hayate could force him over the Tawada. He did, but it was really hard to do. And methinks if Toki Hayate hangs in Makauchi, he's got to bulk up. Because, yeah, that was a hard bout for him to win. And he's just small, and he's going to have to step up, I think, a little bit. But I'm glad he got his first win.
Yeah, it must have felt great on day 5 to finally get a win.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah, sort of make his name known in this top division. Had to feel great.
Exactly. Takanosho versus Tamawashi. Now, this match for me was fun because it was all Tamawashi with a solid 20-second murderous nodowa on Takanosho. And I actually thought, how is Takanosho not passing out? I just don't understand it. But he had wedged himself up against the bales, and smartly, he just waited forever. They were both kind of holding on to each other's necks forever. And eventually, when he sensed Tamawashi was kind of desperate to finish him off and he was leaning too far forward, he quickly dodged to the side and Tamawashi went tumbling to the dirt with a little help from Takanosho with a swat on the back. It was just a really nice game plan. Simple because he knew Tamawashi was probably going to come out there with a nodowa. And he was like, all right, I can withstand that. I just got to wait him out and wear him down. And he did. So that was fun.
In matches like that, I always wonder, maybe these guys could have a second life doing stage combat. Because
Absolutely.
There's got to be a ton of training involved in pushing on someone else's neck and not squeezing with your hands at the same time.
Right?
And they have that down. Like,
They do.
looks amazing when they do it.
I know. Sekiwake Wakamoto Haru versus Maegashira 1 Atami Fuji. There is a big weight advantage of Atami Fuji. But he made the mistake to try to better his grip to get the advantage, but he is just not as fast as Wakamoto Haru. Wakamoto Haru is a lot skinnier, but he's faster. So when Waka felt him going for this Makikai, Wakamoto Haru just seized in that moment and then got Atami Fuji up too high, moved him back and out. It was quite simple. It was a Nuwatanage. This match to me was just speed winning over mass.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for Wakamoto Haru, he's quick and he's smart. You could see him thinking in that moment, if I'm just patient enough, I'll wait for this guy. He can't do any moves on me right now in this position. He's got to better his grip. And when he does, then I'll strike. And he did. Hoshoryu versus Gonoyama. This was crazy because Hoshoryu just immediately got inside and bulldozed Gonoyama and sent him to the 4th row, literally. Like, no one was home for Gonoyama. And I just was like, well, Hoshoryu has these big blasts of the Tachiai, and so does Gonoyama, but were they not aligned? How did Gonoyama just get bulldozed by Hoshoryu? Because that's kind of Gonoyama's game, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. But Kirishima versus Onosato. So this match, I'll have to say that I did not like the Mono-e determination. I am a huge fan of Kirishima, but he really had no strength up against Onosato's size and builds. And as Kirishima got backed up, because he had actually, from the Tachiai, he had been wrapped up by Onosato. And Kirishima smartly tried to move around laterally, and he went for some evasive moves, but Onosato in his math, he just leaned into him. And that was it. But when I saw it in slow-mo, Kirishima was in the air. Onosato got the determination, I think it was Yori Teoshi, a frontal crush out. But it felt like Kirishima was in the air, so maybe it was the dead body rule, because in my mind, though, it looked like Onosato stepped out, you know? But I thought it was at least due a Tori Naoshi or redo, but they probably just determined that Onosato was in command throughout, so the odds were in his favor. But I really did look at that and be like, oh, man.
I remember thinking, oh, that's a good decision. That's the right decision. Yeah. You know, Onosato was absolutely in charge and just continuing to plow through Sanyaku ranks.
Yeah.
Here.
I mean, I'm now a fan of Onosato. He seems like he's just pummeling over everybody. And he's a good kid. So I'm going to cheer for Onosato as well. And that is kind of all I have for day 6.
That was day 5, actually.
Oh, sorry, day 5.
Yeah. So,
don't pay attention to me.
I've got day 6. I've got day 6, and I just want to give a WTF match award to the match between Chura Naomi and Roga on day 6, where these guys went back and forth across the ring. They had a huge tachi-ai. Both got each other's mawashi right in the front. They tried leg trips. They tried head pushes. They tried spins. They tried twirlies, wheelies. There were throw attempts. They just did some burpees, some 780s, some skateboarding tricks. They threw everything they could possibly throw into the ring in that match. I mean, like kitchen sink award should go.
It was a bar brawl.
For that
really
win.
Looked like somebody should have picked up a table or chairs and smashed it over the other guy's head.
I was just like, that was the sloppiest, most exciting thing I have maybe ever watched with my mouth hanging open and a smile on my face. It was hilarious, and I loved it. So thank you, fellows, for making my day 6 so early with that match. It was so good. I do have to mention there was a Mitakyumi versus Ura match on day 6, and at this point in the Basho, neither one of them had lost. Mm-hmm. So of course they got to put these guys together.
Of course.
Because, you know, that's what you do. And they both met and sort of locked up their arms right in the middle of the ring, both, you know, pushing like mad at each other right in the center, power to power, okay? And Mitakayumi's larger, so as you would expect, he's slowly inching Ura back, who is trying to push back with locked straight arms as hard as he could. And, you know, there was this moment where you're like, oh, Ura just doesn't have the strength against this bigger guy. It's, oh, Ura's gonna lose. And then suddenly Ura stopped pushing and pulled instead, twisted, grabbed Mitakayumi's belt from the side and just ushered an unbalanced Mitakayumi right out. And it was just beautiful. And the crowd loved it.
Crowd loved it. I was not mad about this. I love Mitakayumi, but I'm in love with Ura even more after this match.
Oh,
he's just
of course.
Delightful.
They called it an
Uwata
Dashinage. And I always get the Dashinage part confused. Like, what is a Dashinage versus, and I think it has to do with how you're facing, but I need to look that up because I always get confused. Another really fun match on day 6. It's just becoming a theme because I'm watching this guy more and more. Onosato versus Koto Zakura. And at this point, they were both 4-1. And my main thought on day 6 is, wow, Onosato is so big. I mean, he is bigger than Kotozakura, who is a big kid. Kotozakura tried a throw but ran out of room in the ring as Onosato moved laterally and just stuck with him like glue. It was solid. He was big. He didn't lose his footing, didn't lose his cool. Onosato walked off with that win. It was just real pretty, I thought.
This kid's huge. He's on fire. And he kind of, in this match, it was just like he did not need to get used to the pool water. He just jumped straight in and disposed of Koto Zakura. I just was like, wow.
Right.
He's something.
Because we're going to talk about pool water. I would have been inching in slowly. Yeah, like one toe at a time. And he was like, no, I'm just going for the belly flop. And I'm going to stay right with you, you fool. If you're jumping into the pool, I'm going in there with you. That's what he did. And then I have to mention Oho
I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I'm glad you can because I cannot talk about it.
I wrote, and this is a quote, if Kirishima can't beat this guy, he's asleep. And then I wrote ... and he's asleep.
I know, but Oho has been looking good.
So Oho pushed. And then all he did was slam down Kirishima's wrists, like straight down really hard, and Kirishima just slipped forward and down. What I thought was most interesting about this actually came in the interview. So they interviewed Oho after this win, you know, because they're like, you beat an Ozeki, you're amazing! Even though the rest of us know that Kirishima's injured, right? It's just part of the thing. Mm-hmm. And Oho said, you know what? I'm feeling better about my sumo because I figured out what the problem was. The problem was timing. And I thought, timing?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So he was, because he's appeared sort of like slow and lumbering. And so maybe what he's talking about in the timing is just getting started faster than he ever thought he would have to, because everybody in this division is just starting differently, right?
Right.
Faster off the money. And I just thought that was an interesting thing to learn, because it sure does seem that his sumo has changed. From this point on, he started to look very different. So, timing is critically important. And I thought that was fascinating that he talked about that. Anyway, I just keep repeating myself, but I thought that was an interesting comment.
Day 7. Okay, well, this is the day that they announced that basically all of Makuuchi has gone Kyujo, including Kirishima and Wakamoto Haru. And,
who I didn't mention the day before, but he slipped awkwardly in a fight, and it looked really odd on the replay. You were like, oh, what happened with that foot?
Yeah.
That's weird. And then we found out on day 7.
It was a problem.
Yeah.
So what that means is that Kirishima, if he doesn't return, which they were like, oh, he needs like 2-3 weeks, I don't know how long to heal, that he will fall out of his Ozeki rank. Now, he has a chance the next tournament, if he gets more than 10 wins, he can regain his Ozeki status. So I'm hoping for that, but it makes me very, very sad. But, oh well. Onwards and upwards.
But, oh well.
Oh, well, onwards and let's talk about Juryo then.
It does kind of, I will say it does kind of stink to lose your status with an injury like that when you can't even fight to try to hold on to it.
No, and he's been trying so hard and working out so hard, and it's like, oh, I want to hold him and tell him everything's going to be okay.
He might need to take that old name back. That's what I keep thinking.
You know what? I had the same thought. But let's talk about, I just watched a little bit of Wakataka Kage up against Hakuoho on day 7. And Hakuoho has a mummy arm at this point. But Wakataka Kage out strongmanned Hakuoho, who is basically fighting without an arm. So that makes me sad also in a different way, because I was excited about Hakuoho making his way back up to the top ranks here, being in Juryo. He had a great Tachi-ai, but Wakataka Kage just got right inside, left inside, and then nudged with epic strength up and moved Hakuoho over the bales. So I mention this because we're seeing a lot of Juryo matches because there's so many guys out of Makuuchi. but also there's a lot of momentum with Wakataka Kage, and methinks as well as he's doing, he will, this next tournament, finally be back up in Makuuchi.
It is so nice to see him moving with such strength on that knee and with that laser focus that I remember. No one else kind of moves with that laser focus. It's so cool.
He's so fast and he's so good, and it's very exciting. I'm excited for him.
Still don't want to hang out in a spa with him, but that's okay.
Wait, why? What would he do to you in a spa?
Remember when I was like, think about all the guys you'd want to hang out with in a hot tub.
Like, because he would be boring?
Wakataka Kage is not one.
Oh, yeah. He seems rather stoic. Now, Wakamoto Haru, yes.
Yes, party with Wakamoto Haru, please.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, but not the brother.
No.
And who knows about the other brother? We still don't know. Anyway, Kinbozan versus Shononaumi. We haven't talked much about Kenibobo. That's my new name for Kinbozan. And I know it's controversial, Kenibobo, but I'd like it to stick.
Okay.
So we had a huge Watanage force down on Kenibobo from Shononaumi. I mean, Shononaumi in this match was all attack. He gets his left inside and then lifts up like hell on Kinbozan and slams Kenibobo down. So all that to say, Shononaumi looking good at 6-1. I'm going to skip ahead, though, to Atami Fuji versus the golden boy we've been talking about this whole time, Onosato. It was all Atami Fuji from the start, and he almost had Onosato. He had Onosato up against the ropes and can't finish him off with just all he needed was one tiny belly bump to get Onosato over the edge. But Onosato is strong and smart, and so he quickly steps to the side, and then therefore he throws, I think he kind of waited for Atami Fuji to lay himself out by himself, which he did. He hit his belly hard. It was officially called a Shitata Dashinage, and that was a win for Onosato, and it was all this beautiful magic right in the last split second at the edge, which makes sumo so exciting.
Yep. I really wanted Atami Fuji to win that one. I just have to, I have to be honest.
I know. I love Atami Fuji.
My ice cream eating, lisping big boy,
and
Atami Fuji.
And he just has the best smiles. He's just so happy.
Oh,
I know.
So
I know.
close.
I wanted to. But, Onosato's a really good kid, too, So, the match of the day. Here's what I wrote. Match of the day. It was so exciting. I was like, now remind me, what was that match of the day? It was Ura versus Koto Zakura. So, basically, in a nutshell, I had to watch this again. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ura created so much havoc for Koto Zakura. He was all over the place. And Koto Sakura the whole time was like, oh, wait a second. Hold on. Let me. And then they wedged themselves in some sort of rainbow position where Koto Sakura had just seen all that he needed to of Ura's trickery and then just like locked him up. And Ura the whole time is inching under with his little tricky fingers, trying to get this inside grip on Koto Sakura. And they're both in this really, really like awkward side bend, trying to just defend and deflect at the same time, get a hold. In this awkward side bend, what happened then is Ura made the first move to like scoot back and try to get the Katsukashi and lay him down. When he wanted to lay Koto Sakura down into the dirt with his belly. But Koto Sakura was too quick.
He
got
ready
up fast
for it.
And he chased. And then Ura tried to skirt around the side of the doyo to escape. And Koto Sakura was like, not on my watch. And he Oshi-Tayoshi'd him like crazy. And then Ura went, 1-2 step down and then landed on his butt. And I think Hiro said, Ura landed on his buttocks. And that made it the match of the day, just hearing Hiro be so excited about Ura landing on his buttocks. But it was an epic fall, as usual, but it was a fun match.
People don't play this game very much anymore, but back in the olden days, there used to be these group games where you get a circle of people, like to stand in a circle, and everybody would reach into the circle and grab a hand on the other side, with both your hands.
Yeah.
And then you try to unlock yourself into one big circle while not releasing hands.
Yeah, it was like a human knot.
Yeah, human knot.
Human knot.
And that So you get yourself in these really strange, odd, leanings over, like trying to get yourself out of the human
like
knot.
Twister.
And that is what this match reminded me was the human knot.
Yeah, it was weird like that, weird body stances, but I guess that's how you defend yourself from Ura. You just do your best. And it worked. And he followed through like a pro. Now, the match of the day for drama was this Hoshoryu versus Oho, I think.
Yes.
And what's crazy is that I didn't really realize this rivalry is big. And I think this was so fun because Oho was all offense and actually spent most of the match tossing Hoshoryu around with quick blasts and swats until he slapped Hoshoryu down into the dirt. I was so impressed with Oho's aggressive approach, and the follow-through was there. And I was like,
why?
Why?
Timing.
Yes, timing.
It's all in the timing. Finally. Yeah. Way to get your timing going, Oho.
Yeah.
I like it when your timing is on. I really do.
Me too.
I do. There were a couple other matches that stood out for me on day 7. Do you mind if I mention them quickly?
No, go for it.
Toki Hayate taking on spinning Ryuden like he weighed absolutely nothing. And I loved it. He just spun him like mad and took him out. Because Ryuden is one of the tallest, if not the tallest man out there.
He's one of them.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the inadvertent collapse that we got on day 7 was really interesting. That bummer of a match where Takarafuji ended up with his face in another man's ass. Do you remember that one?
Yes. Yes.
It was kind of sad.
Bad day at work for Dad, but still delivered the entertainment for the masses, which we appreciate. Dad jokes, Dad's funny.
It's always interesting to have an inadvertent collapse out there. You go, whoa, what just happened?
Inadvertent collapse. And I have to say, I've had many in my life.
Oh, me too. Yes.
We've all had inadvertent collapses.
But thankfully they didn't include my face in
somebody else's butt on national television.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we love sumo, though.
That is. All right, that takes us to day 8, which I thought was a very exciting day.
This day was the best day of the tournament to me thus far.
Okay, yeah, me too. I completely agree. Agree.
And then
Delivered
I'll follow with day
fronts.
9, which is like, I think they phoned in. But day 8, I was there for.
Yeah, completely. So when we went into day 8, we had 5 Rikishi tied in first place. Ura, Shona no Umi, Takarafuji, Daieisho, and Onosato, which is exciting in and of itself. And you're like, okay, we're at day 8. We're going to start getting some Kachikoshis going. This is really exciting. And then just like previous days, we didn't have enough people to fill out an entire half hour of the NHK broadcast. So we got to see Wakataka Kage again, which is lovely. And we get to see Endo again, which is always really fun. I'm just going to skip those, except to say that Endo got a win over Toki Hayate and is now 8-0 in Juryo. But the great thing about that match is Toki Hayate is starting to really look like he belongs up here.
I know. I was like, okay,
yeah.
Toki
It's a timing
Toto.
thing.
I'm giving everybody nicknames now. Toki Toto.
Toki Toto has found his timing. He really has. It almost won against Endo, but Endo's been up there for many more years, so experience won out. But it was really, really lovely. And then we got to see Takarafuji take on Ryuden, and knowing that Takarafuji is still in line to, for first place, well, that's super exciting. And as these two fell out of the ring at just about the same time, we got treated to one of those exits where their legs are spread really, really wide, and you can marvel at their flexibility and their strength and just their willingness to hurl themselves off of a doyo into a crowd. It was beautiful. Plus, we got an instant replay because they didn't really know who went down first. we had to watch the replay really closely to see who went down first. And then we saw that Ryuden's toes just barely hit outside the ring on the way down.
It was like pinky toe, I think, or something.
It was
teeny bit.
They had initially given the win to Ryuden, and because his last 3 toes on his foot just brushed the sand or the clay on the outside of the ring, they reversed it. They gave it to Takarafuji. So that was exciting. And that was right in the beginning of the day. So I was completely in. Then we got a whole bunch of really, really beautiful, exciting matches that I'm going to skip because we don't have all day. I'm going to go right to Mitakeumi versus Shonanoumi. Mitakeumi pushed really well from beginning to end of this match. Mm-hmm. And he lunged headfirst off the doyo with the win, but he was limping horribly when he got up. And he could not really squat to receive the envelopes at the end. So I mention it only because of the injury, which was not fun to see. It knocked Shonanoumi off the leaderboard. It showed that Mitakeumi is all heart and amazing, just made of some amazingness I don't even understand. He walked away with that win. He is still, at this point, still in contention. He has not left, but he is now injured too, which is never fun to see.
No.
Then there was an exciting match between Tamawashi and Midori Fuji that lasted, I couldn't believe it, over a minute, in which they were both pushing each other's neck for a really, 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 really long time.
Yes.
Until just at the very end, Midori Fuji finally get that kata sukashi. He is so famous for, it just lasted a long time and it just gave me all the feels and I loved it. Mm-hmm. Kota Shoho, who I almost never mention in these breakdowns, just amazed me with his defense against a very fast Meisei.
What
on
a
this
match
day.
this was.
Man.
It was just power and pure fire from Kota Shoho. It's like he
was.
finally has found his way.
Yes, Meisei grabbed Kota Shoho's arm and almost pushed Kota Shoho out. Somehow he recovered at the edge, got to Meisei's side, and moved Meisei out instead. It was just flat out incredible. It was incredible. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite fights of the day was Big Daisho versus Onosato. And Onosato keeps coming up again and again in my highlight matches because he's just really fun to watch. And he's beating just about everybody, which is always exciting. So Big D pushed and it was huge, and he moved Onosato back in response, and right as Big D went in for the kill with his biggest push, Onosato simply jumped to the side, kind of like Abi, right? He just jumped up and to the side and was not there as Big D went in for the kill. So it proved that he is agile. It just, man, I'm on this Onosato train. He is talented. Then we got treated to an exciting Hoshoryu versus Ura match, which is always a great matchup because it could go either way. Their history is 4-4, so each one has a 50% chance of winning. And on day 8, we got a Hoshoryu domination from beginning to end. It was like he was still angry from the day before. Yeah. He was aggressive. It was as if he said, "You go low, I'm going lower. No, I'm going for your belt. I'm going to shuffle and shift, and I'm not going to let you do anything funny to me, and I'm going to run you right out of this ring." It was just exciting, really exciting. And the final match of the day was Kotozakura versus Oho, and this was a much longer match than I thought it was going to be. Because these two are just sizable, and the sumo itself in this match just kind of barreled down to a trading of huge shoves. Like each one would push the other's chest or neck, and I guess Oho's timing just was off. Or he just got tired. It looked like he got tired. It looked like Kotozakura had a little bit more gas in the tank and could finally finish him off with a big old push.
This was the match, though, that it was going so hard up top that Kotozakura reached his hand out to the chest of Oho and was almost like, "Calm down. just calm down. I need a break.
Right.
And they did lock up. And I was just like, it's smart because it slows the rhythm down of the match.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Kotozakura won it, is that he was like, if I can slow down this rhythm, I'm getting pummeled up to this point. I have to slow it down to think about how I'm going to dispose of him. And that worked. But Oho showed up for that match. And I was delighted to see how hard he fought up against Kotozakura.
Yeah, me too. But what it meant is at the end of the day, on day 8, now we had 2 guys tied for first place. Onosato near the top in Sanyaku and Takara Fuji at the bottom. And it's just so lovely to be able to say that he is in the lead on day 8. And they're closely followed by 5 men who have a 6-2 record rather than the first place 7-1. So at day 8, nobody had a makikoshi yet, but it was just a full-on, really exciting day, I thought. Until...
I'll start out day 9 and tell you that I was watching Juryo, and Endo is 9-0 in Juryo. So there's that. I'm just delighted to see him win something because he's had a real poo-poo face on for like a year. So I'm glad.
Someone
he
gave
still
him
has
a
a poo-poo.
talking to.
Somebody did.
Yep.
And I'm glad he listened. But the leaderboard, well, it got a little bit less in numbers. Let's just say that Takara Fuji, he was taken down rather easily by Chura no Umi with an Oshi Tayoshi.
My excitement was
This
short-lived.
Not a great match. It should not have been that easy for the guy on the leaderboard. But hey, here we are. And we're moving on. Kinibobo and Mitakayumi. So today, Mitakayumi went out the easy route, and that was with that weird leg injury. He's trying to stay in, and he does all he can do with that bum leg, which I would think Kinbozan would kind of maybe suspect, but Mitakayumi went for a henka, and Kinbozan just pretty much fell for it, and he fell straight into the dirt as Mitakayumi stepped to the side. He gave him a little smack on the back of the Mawashi, Mitakayumi did, so Kinbozan was just kind of flattened, but hey, Mitakayumi got that win. Injured or not, he got the win.
But again, he can barely squat. He can't bend that one knee as far as it needs to bend.
I know.
I know.
How's he gone to
I
the
hate
bathroom, poor guy? He can't even sit on the toilet.
Poor Mitaki. And Sadanoumi is hurt. Like, he can barely walk. He did something to his ankle. Like, really, it's the parade of the invalids. I hate to say that. I'm like, oh my God.
No one. They're going to be showing up in wheelchairs on like day 15.
Seriously, is everybody back there hurt? They probably are. Like,
they must be.
Nothing but tiger balm and like people frantically taping up people's joints back there.
Yeah, the EMTs are like getting overtime. I mean, it's a lot. But let's talk about fun stuff. Atami Fuji versus Daisho. This was all power for power. Tachiai was big as expected, and Atami Fuji won the Tachiai. He then just went into attack mode and chased Daisho out of the ring with these epic blasts. It was really fun to see Daisho's blasts like absolutely mean nothing on a bigger and stronger and meatier Atami Fuji. So I was like, okay, that's what it looks like when Daisho meets somebody who is bigger and perhaps stronger. Hirado Umi versus Onosato.
My favorite match. No, one of 2 favorite matches from this day.
I don't know how this happened.
I loved it.
Hirado Umi must have had just really great aim with that Tachiai blast, but it was basically a straightforward win for Hirado Umi over Onosato. It was just a huge blast on Onosato's chest, and then he inched forward with more blasts to send Onosato out of the ring. He just stayed close inside somewhat enough for Onosato to really have no way to blast back on Hirado Umi, and I think that was the genius. It was really quite simple and surprising, and it was an Oshidashi win for Hirado Umi.
You know what I think happened?
What?
I think Onosato saw a much smaller man on the opposite side, Hirado Umi, and I think Onosato thought, I can absorb whatever he's got to give me. Like, he's not going to have that much power. I'm just going to absorb it, and then I'm going to do something else. And I think he was surprised, by the force of that. Was. Yeah, and he just got rocked back and then could never recover. I think he underestimated his opponent.
And Hideto Umi's been like the darling of all of the joint Keikos. He must be just packing an incredible punch, either with his stance or whatever he's doing. Something is matching up.
It's the timing. He's got the timing.
It's the timing. Okay, couple more matches. I'll blast through this. Kotozakura versus Onosho. Kotozakura just got himself up too high and moving dangerously back and to the edge by Onosho. But he could see that in his attempt to finish off Kotozakura at the edge, he was leaning too far forward. So Kotozakura saw that, and the veteran and the pro in him knew that if he shifted to the side, chances are Onosho would just hit the dirt. And so what Kotozakura did is like he wrapped up the neck and kind of twisted Onosho to the dirt with a Tsukio Toshi kind of beside and behind him. So Onosho hit the dirt, and that was a win for Kotozakura.
I thought it was smart, calm, sumo.
Calm. Yep, he's
very
poised.
Calm.
But Takayasu's back in town, everybody.
I figured you would love this one.
But Hoshoryu's like giving him all this pre-bout drama. He's like, no, you bow down first. I'm an Ozeki. And Takayasu's like, yeah, I was an Ozeki for a lot longer than you were. Whatever, kid. So...
And this was Takayasu's first day back after several days gone with injury, yes?
Yes. And Hoshoryu gives Takayasu, again, this ridiculous death-type stare up top. Like, I'm going to take you down. And then Takayasu's like, buddy, I don't care. I just don't care. Just get on with it. So anyway, Hoshoryu was all over the Tachiai. It was all attack. But Takayasu knew it was coming. So he just patiently withstood and went high when Hoshoryu went low. Takayasu got inside on the left and drew Hoshoryu inside closer to him to paralyze his attack. Hoshoryu then set up for a throw and started to move backwards to execute the heave-ho on Takayasu, but Takayasu just leaned more and put all his body weight on Hoshoryu so he couldn't throw from that position. And then Takayasu then grabbed the upper back of Hoshoryu under his armpits and just swung him around and to the dirt. It was A, hilarious, but B, it was a beautiful, superb win for Takayasu. I think it was a beltless arm throw. I think it was a Sukiyanage. So it was very pretty. And Hoshoryu had all kinds of egg on his face after all that drama up top.
I will say I did not expect much from Takayasu since he went out with back pain.
Right.
I thought he was going to be, I don't know, just a little lackluster because, he's got those back problems all the time. Even though he usually wins against Hoshoryu, I thought, Hoshoryu is going to have this advantage. I really did. And then to see him completely own Hoshoryu like that. And I also love the interview afterwards when he said, Takayasu said, yes, I was able to fight with poise. And I thought that's a perfect description.
It is.
Yeah, that was perfect poise.
Ugh, it was so good. And that way, like, day 8 was far better than day 9, I thought. But at least day 9 left with, like, some spice. There was some spice on that, and that made me happy. So who's in front still?
So at the end of day 9, at the end of day 9, we have 5 guys tied for first place now. We have Kotozakura, Onosato, who I accidentally keep writing down as Onosho.
Oh, right.
I don't know when I'm going to get... I gotta stop doing that. Okay, so Kotozakura, Onosato, Mitakeyumi, who was injured, Takara Fuji, and Shona no Umi. I fully expect this Basho to come down to Kotozakura versus Onosato.
Yeah, with maybe a Shona no Umi messing up a little bit of something.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We've got several days to go.
Ugh.
Yeah, so it could all change, but those two are certainly looking at the top of their game right now. Their timing is good, and they just look healthy. They look really healthy and calm, and are providing just like a variety of things to be mesmerized by.
I know. As usual, the Basho is delivering.
Yep.
So that is all for this week's Sumo Kaboom.
Yeah, and as soon as more Kachikoshis start rolling in, y'all send in your bingo cards.
That's right.
And we'll let you know when we get our first couple of bingo. We should have a ton, for all the injured people that have gone out, we should have had a Makikoshi bingo by day 8.
I know. Oh, man.
Ugh.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Only time will tell.
That's
Okay,
right.
we'll be back at you next week with highlights from bingo and the tournament winner, right?
Yep,
So until then, I'm Leslie.
I'm the other one. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.